Welcome everybody to the DROPOUTS podcast. Today we welcome Sacha, the founder of Mobula. Hello Sacha, how are you?
Hey, fine, thanks for having me here.
With a pleasure, mate. Sacha basically is 19 years old dropouts young builders who's developing a big company in blockchain. Maybe for people who don't know you, Sacha, can you introduce yourself in like 1 minute, something like this?
Yeah, sure. So I'd say I'm a technical founder. So we are working on kind of deep tech at Mobula with blockchain data. So yeah, I'd say we are doing mostly technical work. I've always been interested in math and computer science, trying to crack problems with blockchain data, basically.
So you're 19 tech founder building a data provider Web3 company. How this passion and this interest at some point on the Web3 industry coming from? Like, at what age did you start listening and knowing the Web3 industry?
I think at first I was really interested in the fact it was so financial and so open. You know, I started investing like really young, maybe at 15, something like that, just because friends told me, yeah, this token's gonna move, gonna make 100x, stuff like that. Like, really, then I was coding on the side and not really interested in the tech at the time. It was at first I was freelancing and I was being paid by people in the shitcoin industry, kind of to make Telegram bots and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess in the first place, being fully honest, I was so young that it's just that it was something really new, a kind of shiny object, and it started getting trending like right after I started being interested on it. So I've been very lucky picking the 2021 bull run, you know. So yeah, I guess the overall traction at first, and I stayed for the tech and the fight, you know.
Okay, so you enter in this industry more opportunistically because you saw like this new industry and the financial aspect of it, and you started understanding maybe like the problem inside, and you found what you wanted to build long term on this industry.
Yeah, I mean, I was so young. You can't have a deep understanding of an industry or even whatever you want to do at this stage. So yeah, being honest was that, and I guess the fact that we are still there now that AI and stuff like that is trendy is because we are concerned long term about the space then.
Okay, that's an interesting point because a lot of people say like you have to find your big vision, you have to get big conviction, etc. But at some point when you're young, it's very rare to have very deep conviction directly. Like, you're not born with them for most of the time. And exploring new field, new industry is the best way to get some and to find your thing. I think it's what you're doing with like Mobula. You experimented first, didn't know what you wanted to do, and found something that was like interesting for you to commit yourself for several years.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this narrative of like instantly having a great idea and building something huge, like that's not what happens most of the time, and it can hurt you, especially if you're young. If you're at the C-level on a top tier company and you have a huge network and you can start tomorrow raising $10 million and get 10 top tier engineers, you can start with a great vision and spend years building it. You know, if you are at the beginning of your career, really young, without a network, starting like that, like 99.9% of the time, you'll just fail. You won't be able to ship it, or you'll just stop at the middle of it. It's a long journey to build something huge. It's so hard. So yeah, just starting by building something that there is an opportunity, taking little shoots basically and trying again. And yeah, I guess it's just much easier and more realistic when you're getting started.
And so when you started, the first thing you experimenting online for online business, etc., was freelancing, or you've been doing other things related to business and entrepreneurship?
In business, the first real business I had was with Fiverr. The thing is that at the time, Fiverr had a little poor design, I'd say, on referrals, where you could basically refer yourself with multiple accounts and just print money. You could just like, for example, pay yourself $100 command, and the referrer will get like 20% of that amount. You would get 20% off, and the account that is providing the service will only get a 20% cut from Fiverr. So basically, every time you do this, you mint $20. and when I found out about that, I had maybe like $50 on my bank account, but I started making this system, and I did it a lot, and at the time I was maybe making 1 or 2K a month with that. I was 15, so it was really fun. That made me rank actually top tier on Fiverr. Like I had created offers. I didn't really know how to build at all, but like if you were looking for a Telegram bot on Fiverr, it was me. I never made one, but I was the number one due to my own orders basically. So I guess I got started with this little scamish thing. I didn't deal a lot of money, but it was fun. And then, yeah, I met most of the people I know right now through this Fiverr freelancing journey, just like you, like people ordering me things, and then meeting other people from that, and being able to seize opportunities, and whenever you see something more ambitious or more interesting, to jump at it, basically.
Okay, so it's basically the serendipity that by exploring things, by making things, it creates you like some network, some opportunities. You learn on Fiverr a lot of things, and Fiverr was just like one door, but you decided to move from Fiverr quite quickly at some point, at least not moving, but not just being a Fiverr freelancer. I remember that you were telling me that you were proposing service at some times, but you were also proposing hosting a host server to try to scale a bit your activity and try other thing. Can you tell me more about this?
Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting because I started to know about the B2B SaaS and really late, like really after launching actually myself, and startups. I feel it's pretty intuitive when you are building something on the internet that there is some cash flow that is like one-shot missions, and that the most value is on the recurring one. So when I had those clients, I tried to make a product out of it. Basically, like I was just trying to sell hosting, and what's really fun is that for a really long time, just this little hosting SaaS for Telegram bots like made me maybe $300 a month, something like that. I still charge, like the Stripe is still charging people right now for this. It has been open for a month, but of course it's not a venture story, but like I always try to take it to the next level, even on small things like that. There is always optimizations and improve it.
Okay, and so what was the driver beside this? It was like the cash, but also like the search. What was like the thing that was the more exciting for you?
As I say, I didn't really know about the tech field, and I think now I identify myself a lot with tech startups, In the first place, I just thought like business basically was super boring. I found entrepreneurs being like kind of cringe, and I really enjoyed math, astrophysics, like basically learning about things, cracking problems, which is exactly what you do in tech actually, but I didn't really realize that at the time. So yeah, I was mainly in trying to, I'd say, make a quick buck, kind of cash grab for a few moments, and it's really being into it and building something that made me realize that it was so great, and it was really close to what I wanted in research, and that actually most smart people and most of the energy in the world was into that, and it was probably even more interesting problems to solve, So
when we discussed the first time, we discussed a lot about like cash, and you told me you were a bit cash driven, but the more I knew you, the more I saw who you were exactly. And for example, you're not a big spender. You don't have like a luxury thing. Thinking about it right now, I think it was a game for you, and you were pretty interested and pretty excited too by like the challenge.
When I made this plan to make money, the main thing was like, hey, our current society is ruled by money. If you want to live a happy life, you need a basic unit, and I don't want to bother with money at all. I don't want to design my life around that. So really, I at like 15, 16, my plan was like make $1 million, save it, like put it to work, generate a 5 or 10% yield, and you just have like a large basic income, and you can just bother like doing whatever you want. Like that was the plan with my little cash grab thing, But actually, as you say, I'm not a spender at all. I don't care about anything. I'm sitting on my computer like day and night, not moving from my house literally. So I don't really care. It was really just because I understood that biased vision, because I wasn't in real life, but I felt like I needed to build this mattress basically of cash to make sure I didn't have to think about it, whatever I did in life, you know.
Okay, yeah, I completely get. I want to get back to your childhood, like so before you started even going online and trying things. What kind of kids you were like when you were in college, in high school, etc. Tell me more about your journey when you were like very young. You know.
I think I was like super emotional, like a lot really, and also really interested in math and science, like reading a lot of books. Actually, coding, I started coding really young, like at 6. I wouldn't say I was a hardcore nerd, you know, I had friends that weren't nerd, but I was definitely weird, emotional, not that good at social relations overall.
And do you think you were like a curious kid, or you knew what you wanted to learn and was stick to it?
Yeah, I was super curious. Like I basically reading all the time, like all the stuff will interest, dinosaur stuff, astrophysics, like anything. I just ingest data and learnings, and I'm still like that, like super curious, always trying to find the truth behind the noise of the things. Like I love learning, and that's why in the first place I wanted to dedicate myself to research, because it's the closest to like being 100% of the time learning things basically. But I feel in tech you also learn a lot actually.
So basically, when you were young, your dream was to become Sacha, to make some studies.
Yeah, actually, I think if I knew about tech, about the tech scene, about startups, like the reality of it, just not like seeing Mark Zuckerberg films, you know, I'd probably be interested in doing that, but I didn't really know about it. My family was like researchers and professors, so I just found this thing I knew super interesting, you know.
And you started experimenting, you started going on your startup journey, you started finding some strong vision, some strong project, and this made you consider like another way of learning all your life. So the entrepreneurship journey at some point.
I think it has been a really smooth transition, because I remember when we got started with the quest, like I was still at high school, I hadn't dropped out yet. It has been really smooth for me. High school was a no-brainer dropout, but I remember at the time I wasn't even sure if I'd go to uni or if I'd keep going, because Stacy was not getting much traction at the time. So it has been pretty smooth, like I didn't wake up one day saying like, okay, yeah, let's kill my plans with astrophysics. It's just that the more time I spent on startups, more I enjoyed it, and it became more and more obvious that looking back at what I did in school, what people are doing in uni, that I couldn't do that.
And you told me like when you were a kid, you were a bit emotional. What you mean by this? Like,
I think I was like hardcore overthinking. I was in young class, maybe 8 years old, something like that, and the professor said, our teacher asked us like, hey, do you say souper or dîner to eat? It's a French word to say like eating at night, basically. I lied because I wanted to feel cool with him, basically. I said, yeah, souper. and he said, yeah, that amazing, you're one of the only ones. And I totally lied, and like I couldn't sleep for multiple days, multiple nights thinking about that. Like if she finds out that I lied about it, like I was really overthinking everything. I think it's the word overthinking more than emotional. Like,
okay, interesting. And much more interesting that it's still in your mind right now, because like for example, I don't have like many memories from 8 years old. So
yeah, because I retrospected into that like a few years ago. I had this, I remembered about that, and I was like, this isn't a normal behavior at all. This is really weird. Why did I do that?
I have a question for you. Are you able to sleep right now, or are you still thinking about it?
I always had hardcore trouble to sleep. Like always. I'm just taking meds, like not hardcore things, but I'm taking yeah, just things to help me sleep. It works fine for me. Without that, I couldn't sleep properly, to be honest. But yeah,
Because you're always thinking.
kind of if I'm not like really tired, like really pushing the limits, and I'm sitting on the computer all the day, so I'm not doing the most like tiring work, I'd say. So as you need to keep the rhythm, basically I'm just like starting to sleep when I'm not that tired, and when that happens, it just triggers my mind, and I can sleep forever. If I'm really tired, I'd be able to sleep. It's never gonna happen.
And is it the same with everything? Like, for example, if you do sports, you do it 100%. If you do this, you do 100%. Or is it like just for work and for sleeping?
I'd say I'm really hardcore focused. It's actually my thing, which is right now modular. For example, for sport, my family has to pay a coach to come to my house like every week. Otherwise, like even if I know like sport is good and I need to exercise and stuff, like I just will do the trade in my head. Like right now, is it better that I spend a little bit on modular? I do this exercise, and I have always this computation happening. And fact is, I don't do many many things. So yeah, I wouldn't say I do everything at 100%. Like for example, this sport thing, I probably do it at like 10% because I need to do it because the guy is there. My main goals at the time, I do them at 200%.
So it's a question of obsession at the end, no?
I'm not sure it's the best way to do it, but like definitely it's just that's the only thing that matters, and trying to optimize everything for that.
Can you tell me a bit more? Can you explain to the people who listen to us the precise journey when you went from like Fiverr freelancer to a crypto tool creator? Like, can you explain to us like by chapter how it went from your experimentation to where you are today?
Yeah, so I'd say in the first place, so really quick to close this Fiverr parenthesis. So I started getting orders on Fiverr, learned to build production ready code, learned to talk to customers also, because at the end of the day, they are customers. I learned English, and I didn't really know to talk in English. So it has been a great school. At the same time, I met you. I met many people in the crypto space as well. And it was maybe summer 2022, something like that, or 2021. The shitcoin space was booming. There were many scams like out there, like 90% of the coins basically. And I identified like a really easy pattern to spot scams, basically, that people knew about. I thought like this could be automated pretty easily, So I started coding a little tool that led to Stay Safer, that was just taking a smart contract, checking some facts, and returning a security score for shitcoin investors, basically. And from that, we launched the token. That's where I called you. Like, totally improbable traction on the token, like mind-blowing. Made 100x overnight, My family made money, so it was really fun and a little bit counterintuitive, like because and that's also one of the problems of the crypto industry, where like you have a tool. SaaS units are really specific. You can make $700 in a month, and if the market is good and the opportunity is good, in 2 years you could be making like 1,000 times that. Like it will scale a lot. But when you launch a token, you get instantly cash. You get like instant cash flow, but it's of course not that scalable, and it doesn't bring value to the world. We launched the token, then we started working with the quest with you to try to improve the product. And on the tool, it was growing slowly after the bull run. It was also a really niche market. I'm happy we left that, looking back, because it was just super small. The tool was complete and it's still operational and still used today, so I wonder where we could have spent energy. When I see competitors like DROPOUTS that raised like $6 million to build the same thing, I literally built in a weekend. I'm like, those guys are not going anywhere. Like it's a really niche market that there is little to no demand, how to monetize. So I think we stopped Stay Safe. It was a good decision. At least stop operating it. It's still running and still providing data to many people actually. And we started working with the quest on Modular, which is right now our main venture. Modular story is also complicated. A lot of pivots, a lot of things tried.
Like, the thing that is interesting to mention is that you've been building in Web3 in your first startup journey, and that was definitely something difficult, because you could have like a lot of BAs based on the fact that in Web3, at least in 2021, it wasn't just like you have a product that solve a problem and that have traction and you can have like some metrics that gives you. You have the products, if you have one, and you have the crypto, the token, and these are decorrelated. So it means if your project looks cool, your story looks nice, you can have like so much traction on the crypto, and this make you make choice for the crypto and not for the product. And after you have to go back to the product, and if you really want to make some choice for the product, sometimes you have to let the crypto here and focus on the product, but it's not very the best thing to do for the crypto. And so it's very difficult even today to build a Web3 project with crypto, with token, because you have the usage, the utility, but you also have the speculation and the investment side of it. It's basically, if it's like you launch a business which is directly available for trading, like with directly an APO, you know what I mean? You can't from one side bootstrap a business and at the same time manage and follow the pressure from the retail and from the public who can like detect what you're gonna do. It's very like the most challenging things I've been seeing in my whole life in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, the two complexities of that is first, like you're going public way too early. Like when companies go public, they have a strong product market fit, they have strong revenue. So when you're at seed stage, pre-seed stage, you don't have that. You don't know what you're doing. You're just trying to find out what's the company, you know? And you need to have a public relation discourse saying, yeah, we are going so good. We are doing a lot of great things, but you know, you have the "this is fine" fire meme internally. So it's super hard when you are a low-cap token like that. For big companies, when you're launching a token at 100 million market cap, it's similar to IPOs, you know. And actually, I believe that's a great system. Actually, you have, it's 5 years you're building your company, you made many fundraise, you have an infra used by thousands of developers. Yeah, it's needed to have a token. It won't hurt your company. But you're launching a token the bootstrapped way, like launching the token day one of your company. It's so hard. It's not a good idea, actually.
Definitely. And I think like when you bootstrap and you launch a product, you will have to iterate, you will have to do some pivot. It's very rare when your successful startup is the same thing that was the original idea. You have to do some choice. And when you have a crypto, a financial asset which is linked to this, these choices are very more difficult to do because you are not going to influence your own experimentation. You're not going to experience just your customer base. You're going to experience things that will impact all the investors that invest in your project, etc. There's two scenarios. One, they will understand and you have to make them understand, etc. Or two, they don't. And at the end, if you have a crypto project that have a big place in your project, it can kill your project because the crypto is going to be killed at some point. And so it's very like something that is challenging. Like I said, I think like it's the most difficult entrepreneurship journey you can start with.
It was hard at the time when being experienced and like learning to work with the space and understanding better the economics and what works and what doesn't. It's way easier now for me, but indeed, like starting with that was quite rough.
And so after understanding like that's for the Stay Safe, the crypto scanner you've been building, you kind of like went in the maximum you can do, because at the end it's what was the constant. Like for the product, you could do something bigger or at more scale because it was a niche and like you've been doing what you could. But at the moment you decided to another challenge. What is the story, like the beginning of Mobula? Explain us a bit.
But yeah, basically we started Mobula. We already had some cash from from the Quest and from what we already had an agency at the same time. So it was really weird. Basically the beginning of Mobula, the first few months and even the first year, we had the vision of building a decentralized coin market cap, basically. And we started from there, building a lot of data infrastructure, because when you want to build something like coin market cap, which is super complex software from the ground up, because you needed to be decentralized to have like really specific properties. Like we had a lot of work on the infra side, and we had to do a lot of things from scratch, because like current system, just brief parentheses, but so graph, BigQuery, stuff like that. It wasn't a fit for us. So we had a long iteration on the product, a long journey till we had something viable. Actually, like people love to say, yeah, Shiba MVP. But the ground truth is that when you are, even for productivity tools, you are building a productivity tool, go try to sell an MVP of a lagging Notion. It's not possible. You need to ship something that at least Notion. The bar is high when you are trying to do something really ambitious. The bar is high. You can ship a crappy product. You'll get zero traction. You won't verify if your thesis is good or not. If you are competing with a large product, you need something great. And if you don't have the funding, the knowledge, the team to build something great, it's gonna take time. And it took a lot of time for us. And actually, during this time, we learned so much about like the current blockchain data industry, the current blockchain data industry pain points. We also had many things public. We always built in public since alpha. We had a lot of, basically we were open to opportunities from the ground up. We had our API open, while the API was super crappy at first, but like we had many things in the open and basically praying to get traction on something. And after a year of iteration, we also successfully raised the pre-seed seed round, $1 million. I'm still proud of being able to have raised that with the market conditions at the time, with the like zero network we had at the time, basically. So
at 7.5 million valuation, so it's pretty
cool.
Yeah.
So it helped a lot to just be able to visualize long term. You know, when you have the unit economics for startups, especially when you are playing, you know, most of our team is French right now, so we don't have the like 10K a month full-time engineer start paycheck. So we have a lot of time to build, you know, and it helps a lot to ambitious visions. The thing we were talking at first, like it really empowers a lot. I'd say if you feel like you want to do something really ambitious and you are really angry doing something that scales, it's a no-brainer for me to raise funds. It's really helpful. Now, after this fundraise, we kept iterating on the product, kept shipping features, and I think maybe 6 months ago now, we found out that the front-end product didn't have great retention, didn't have great traction.
Because like you got the consumer B2C positioning and the B2B positioning. You were experimenting.
Yeah, we were opening, we had like B2B APIs and B2C consumer-facing product. We had everything open, and we just found out that the B2C product wasn't taking off, and the B2B product, we didn't much energy into it, and it was really getting, like, it was a growing market. As dumb as that there was constantly people signing up to the API just through, like, we didn't add any effort on SEO or stuff like that. We just had the documentation published, and we had like every day companies, great crypto companies or indie hackers and builders like signing up every day. And so I was like, okay, blockchain data, like, it's a growing market. We have the sign, we are like experiencing it right now. We already have like a great acquisition canal on that. We have a product that people appreciate and that use and that pay actually. And in a year we are building in this, and we have seen all the flows of the other products, and we know that we had to build something from scratch, so that there are a lot of things to be done to fix the problems of this space, you know. And also it's much more me than a B2C product. I'm a tech guy. I like to talk with tech people. I sell better an API than a consumer product, you know. So
so do you think like this kind of founder market fit is important and it's crucial for success or for happiness at some point?
When you are like pre-product market fit or like venture scale traction, it's one of the most important things if you don't want to churn yourself. Even at the end of the week, you're thinking of your week and you're like, did I spend great time? Like, am I wasting my time or am I enjoying what I do? Do I feel like I contribute to something? And if you don't have this founder market fit and your company isn't growing, you'll just drop it because you'll not be enjoying what you do. At least it's my point of view on that. And I feel the founder market fit, the most important thing is like sticking to your company. Anyone can build something they don't like, but sticking with it on the hard times, that's when you're really like the problem you're solving and the days you're spending solving it. It's a no-brainer that even you had no growth, you had a big pain point in your journey, you'll keep going because even with this, you still enjoy your days and you still feel like you're not wasting your time.
I think that's a very good thing that to say. A lot of people right now, they tend to focus on industry who are trendy to project, who can be seen on Twitter, and you have like the FOMO and you want to be something like this. But at some point, it's not the kind of thing that will excite you if you are not having like revenue or traction and growth. And so at some point, like enjoying and learning and seeing yourself grow, not just like in terms of financial asset, etc., it's also important. But it's true that at some point there's like some path and there's like some dream who can't fit with you, and at some point, even if you like something and if ever you are the best founder market fit, like the time is something that influences also. Like you can take maybe 3, 4, 5 years, but 10 years, 15 years more difficult.
Yeah, of course. I mean, no one will spend 10 years on a failed startup, you know. But some startups wouldn't be failure if they weren't abandoned after 1 year or 2 years. Take Figma, they took 5 years to product, you know, to just shipping the product. There are just kind of companies when you're playing in deep tech or just targeting a huge market with something brand new. It's gonna take a lot of time to get something big because the competition bar is super high or because you're tracking a really complicated product. So you have some startups you can launch in a weekend and make a cool revenue, and you have some startups you need years. For this kind, make sure you like what you do because otherwise you won't go further.
It's true. And I remember that when you were younger, and me too, you know, we were talking about it and you were a bit more close about it because you were maybe a bit less educated about like the story behind the big ambitious startup, and maybe the ambition you have right now wasn't the same and the driver too wasn't the same at the beginning. But I can see the difference right now from the Sacha of 3 years ago. You know, I remember that you were telling me like what I want. Like at 18, I want my apartment, I want my butler, and that is, I don't want luxury thing, but I want to be financially free, etc. And that's a good thing at some point. But you were a bit biased by like the crypto industry and all of this kind of thing. And maybe it can create frustration. But at some point, when you start understanding that these ventures you mentioned that change lives, like Figma, etc., went to this kind of journey, the idea of that is the kind of norm make you feel like better around it, and make you feel not like feeling the FOMO. I don't know if you know what I want to mention, but like this kind of FOMO and this kind of thing that you see on TikToks, on all this kind of thing, can be the best enemy when you want to create an ambitious startup.
Definitely. And even on the Twitter scene with indie hacking and solopreneurs, like they are bragging about making 10K MRR, which is great, but like your SaaS is dead in the egg. 6 months is gonna go to zero because you're just riding a trendy wave. That's great, but you can't ping a startup that is doing the hard work, that is like trying something really innovative, really new from the ground up, and trolling them because they raised funds, you beat their monthly revenue. Maybe in 3 years they'd be worth $1 billion. I feel many people on the Twitter scene, especially on the indie hacking scene, they forgot what a startup is, and there is a real bias in just like building a little internet business and building a startup like Paul Graham defined it, like an ambitious venture scale, world scale business, like disruptive business. And people are just naming random internet business and these things startup, but startups is the first one, and then people just compare things like it's the same, and it's not the same units, it's not the same game, it's not the same timelines. And I made myself, I was feeling bad about it because I was like, I'm a failure, like Mobile is a failure. Man, he's making more than us while we raised funds. And I took a lot of time to understand that we aren't playing the same game at all, you know.
It's 100%. I'm very happy that you mentioned it. And I wanted to say this, like at some point, people think that there's like one entrepreneurship, there's like one startup, but at some point, no, like entrepreneurship, it can say anything and nothing at the same time. And startup are precise things. Solo entrepreneurship is different. Freelancing is different. And also like what we show you is never like what is the real life. It's true for solo entrepreneurship, it's true for freelance, it's also true for startup. Startup is not easy at all. Like you see, and all the guests I got here, they iterated and they've been resilient during 4, 5, 10 years sometimes to go at this stage they are right now, where they have more clarity and more win. But sometimes you have to go and to pass this 3, 4, 5 years having some win, but not having like the win you imagine, and we are showing you on movies like the cash, the deals, the lifestyle, etc. This it's coming after, and when it's coming, it's not the things you want to chase at some points. And at most of the time, I've been talking with a lot of people who have made some exit, who have made some very big success, and most of the time people tell me, you know why? By thinking about it, and this after 1, 2 years of the exit, after thinking about it, I think what I love the most course, my journey was like the moment we've been troublings and we've been like getting some win based on challenge that we faced during a few months. And this can sound cliche, but if everyone say the same thing, it means something at some point.
It's also a basic natural bias, like selective bias. The ones that make it till the end are the ones enjoying the journey, because if you don't enjoy the journey, you're just gonna drop off at the middle of it. A lot of people won't enjoy the journey, but like there is literally no chance those are going to exit at some point. So of course, those that went through the 5 years, it's really rare that they didn't appreciate it, because or they are really hardcore.
Yeah, definitely. And regarding the moments you dropped out and you started getting out of the traditional education system, how did you manage to still stimulate yourself, still learn, even if you didn't got like this traditional structure of education? How did you manage to do this?
Well, it hasn't been very complicated for me with Mobila. Like, we are doing a real like deep tech thing, so I'm basically learning all the day new things. We are at the edge of the innovation on blockchain data, so every time there is something new popping, I learn about it, I know about it, I connect with the founders. There is this constant influx of new things being learned. If you binge watch YouTube, I tried hard YouTube when I was really young, and most of the content in like high school is actually like you can see that on YouTube, much better explained. Actually, I wasn't really listening at all in high school. I was on my computer actually all the day, because those courses, they are just available for free on the internet, 100 times the quality, you know, and didn't have at the time. But you also have the interactive teacher with ChatGPT, you know, so like to me that there isn't anything missing. Maybe the human connection with some the very rare like top tier professors. That's something I'm still connected with some of my professors. I still spend time with them. I really enjoy that. But apart from this, like there is nothing in the current education system that can be replicated online.
What do you think about people who say like traditional system, education system, bring you knowledge that you can find online, but they bring you also a structure. And when you drop out, it's sometimes difficult to keep the structure, to keep your learning, etc. Your own system, I think it's because you learn based on your project. But like, what do you read next to your project on the other learning stuff, just not like about blockchain?
Yeah, so I totally agree on that, and I believe it's gonna be solved at some point online as well, this structure thing. But it's true that many people lack incentives and lack motivation. Those people usually don't drop out, so it's not a big concern for dropouts. I see many people I spent time with in high school, those guys dropping out. They wouldn't do anything of their days because they didn't find anything exciting in life. So of course the structure at least push you to do the minimum, you know. So I totally agree with you on that. And for my own learning systems, I'd say I'm reading Twitter quite a lot, and there are a lot of like golden nuggets for books, for stuff like that on Twitter. I was a lot of you on YouTube before, but like this is really too time consuming. There is something in content learning where the shorter content learning is more rewarding. The dopamine trigger, it's TikTok. Basically, you could watch TikTok education things all the day. You feel like you learned something, and you don't remember anything about it. With YouTube videos, and the next step is books. But you can't really think you learned something in less time than by reading a book, because when you're reading the book, you are taking the time to understand every concept, and it's really printing into your head. Well, of course, you can think you're saving time asking ChatGPT for a resume of the book. You didn't learn anything. You have a rough idea of what the book is talking about. So I'm really reading books. I'm taking the time, and I enjoy it. Actually, I'm finding books on Twitter. It's not super frequent that people talk about books, but it takes a lot of time to read a book. So like my book backlog is higher than what I can read anyway. You know?
I think it's also a question of channel. Like when you go on TikTok, you go on YouTube, etc. Don't think it's where you will learn. It's a place for entertainment, and I think it's good that there's a place like this for entertainment, when you work like all day. But if you want to learn stuff, at some point the channel matter. Like it's better to go on a deep blog into expanding what you're looking for, a book, even like a voice book, because it's not about like just like the book are good and some people don't like to read, etc. Some people are impatient, some people have difficulty of concentration on this kind of support and discover channel. So you have to find your channel, but there is like some channel like the short video channel who are very made and create to make you stay on the app and not very make you fit your brain. So you have to know this and choose the right one for the right usage you want to do.
I still think that there are many great videos to learn on YouTube, but it's long form video. Like it's a 1 hour coding challenge from the coding change, for example. I love that channel, but there are many things you can take and learn. But indeed, the YouTube shorts or stuff like that, it's basically vanishing from your brain at the moment, just consuming.
Okay, mates, that was very dope to get you here. It's been like 4 years we have talking together. We met and I'm still learning things about you, so I'm very happy. I don't know if you wanted to add a last sentence, last word to the dropouts who listen to us.
I guess know the game you're playing and don't compare to people that aren't playing the same game as you, and try to find the game that fits you better, that aligns with your goals and your dreams, I'd say.
Love it. Okay, thank you, Sacha. We'll put all your link below and see you soon, guys. Ciao, ciao.